Takosa. And welcome to another episode of Vusela with Gogo uMkhanya. It is me, your host, Gogo uMkhanya Kudi, and it is my pleasure to greet you once again. Today's episode is brought to you by a question that was posed to me. I've posted on my Instagram page, on my stories. I ask occasionally for subjects, topics that people want some insight on, some inspiration on, some motivation on, and I received several questions, and so I'm going to be answering them in these videos. I hope that they are beneficial to you and that they answer any questions that you may have. And if by chance this video brings up some other things that you would like me to address in another video, I'll be more than happy to do that. And I'll let you know how to do that at the end of this video, okay? And it'll also be in the description. So we're going to get straight to it. This video was brought to us, was inspired by a question that at Star Lady on Instagram, Star Lady on Instagram posed to me. She said she was interested to know my fresh perspective on the journey of healing. My fresh perspective on the journey of healing. And ever since going through my journey of Ukutwaza and coming into knowing what Ubungoma is and how it relates to my daily life, I will come to say that the overriding response or the overriding message, the lesson that I've learned from my journey is that healing is an ongoing thing. Healing is an ongoing process. Healing is not a destination. That's why it's healing and not healed. Because as we go, as we grow, we heal from one thing and then there's another thing that comes. And what we begin to realize is as we go through life and as we heal from one thing and we move on to another situation that, will require us to heal from that or whatever, we begin to realize that it's this wound, this one wound, this soul wound, as it were, that um, many of us come with, that is part and parcel to our greatness. Dealing with the soul wound, dealing with the issue, that one thing that tends to trip us up. Each of us has that one thing, that Achilles heel. Tokoza, it's a mosquito, and that's Tokoza, so maybe it'll go on away because I don't want it to bite me. Um, but this one thing, this one issue, this one matter, this one hump, this one whatever it is that we can't get over, that is the soul wound that we come here with, that allows us to cultivate the soul, to examine ourselves over and over again in each experience that we have, that may seem contrary or may seem unfavorable, unpleasurable, unpleasant, even violent and traumatic. Each of these experiences is brought to us to cultivate the soul, so as to heal that soul wound. And in so doing, we gain the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding, the experience, the empathy, the level of compassion that is needed to go and help someone else. So my understanding about healing is that it is not linear. It is not one thing. It is not a destination that you can arrive and say, I am healed of this one thing. That is absolutely not the case. I mean, of course, you may be healed of a disease or you may be healed of a sickness, but the healing that I'm talking about is in the realm of the soul and then the psyche. And there's this myth going around that, once you begin to meditate, and once you uh, become a devotee of a spiritual path, or once you get initiated, or once these things happen, then you'll no longer have to deal with certain issues. You will no longer have to deal with the depression or the bipolar issues or anything like that. You won't have to deal with them to the same degree, but the changes in your body, the changes in your psyche, the changes in your psychology, these things are very often permanent, especially when they are the result of trauma. Trauma changes you, literally. It alters your genetic code. And that's why many of us have to go through certain forms of initiation and training and different spiritual immersions, so that we can learn how to integrate these now fractured pieces of the psyche back into the whole of the being that we are, and use them to our benefit now to be able to access certain realms and certain dimensions of the spirit. So healing is not linear. Healing is not one thing. It is a multi-layered thing. It is an ongoing process. Healing is also not beautiful in so much. It is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful process to heal and to grow, but it is ugly. It is an ugly process. You will cry. You will have breakdowns. You will have moments where you feel like the whole world is caving in on you. You will have moments where you feel like you are making no progress. You will have those moments, but it is important in those moments that you remind yourself that you are healing, because things have to break down, things have to fall apart so that they can fall back together or be put back together in their proper place. So it's not linear, and it is painful, and it is ugly. And the third thing, and the final thing that I want to share, is that healing requires your participation. Healing is not something that happens to you. Healing is something that you do. It is the gift you give yourself. And it requires your participation. It requires your obedience to spirit. It requires you to face your fears. It requires you to do the things that you are unaccustomed to doing. It requires you to be uncomfortable. It requires you to learn new norms, to learn new normals. It requires all of these. It requires you. Your healing requires you. It requires you to be an active participant in what is going on in your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul. It is not something that happens to you. It is the gift that you give yourself. If you have a guide, if you come to a teacher, you go to a Gobela, you go to a Sangoma, you go to any type of other spiritual healer or teacher, they can guide you, they can teach you, they can instruct you, they can love you. But the healing is what you give yourself. It is you tapping into the untapped realms and untapped reservoirs of your own soul and releasing that out into the world. Now, you will need help. We all need somebody to lean on. Bill Withers was absolutely correct when he wrote that song. We absolutely need one another, and we absolutely need someone to lean on during our times of healing. We sometimes need someone to create special space for us. So we go and we stay with the guru, or we stay with the healer, or just like you would check yourself into a rehab center, or anything like that. But the healing is the gift you give yourself. It is your decision to heal. It is your decision and your choice to heal. Jesus told all the people that he healed, he said, it is your faith that has made you whole. Once you decide to heal and you take action in the direction of your healing, then you begin to heal. Literally, in that moment, in the moment when you take action in the direction of your healing, that is when you begin to heal. And so every time you begin to feel like you're not moving forward in your healing process, you have to begin to ask yourself, what am I doing or not doing? What action am I taking or not taking in the direction of my healing? Because healing absolutely requires your active participation. No man can take your life. You have to lay it down. And only you can raise yourself up. And so the healing that you are looking for is inside of you, and it requires you to give. My Baba told me just today that in order for certain transactions to be complete, the other party has to enact, they have to engage, they have to reciprocate, they have to do something in order for the transaction to be complete. And so the healing that you give yourself, that transaction is only complete when you begin to give of yourself. When you begin to give of yourself, that's when the transaction of healing is, that transaction is complete. And then you engage in another transaction. Then next thing you know, you've got a free flowing exchange of energy with your own self, with your own ancestors, with your own spirit guides that are fueling you as you move forward in your healing and unfolding process. And so that's what healing means to me. That's what I've learned about healing. That's my new fresh perspective on my healing journey, on the journey of healing, for myself and really for anybody else. I really believe that we need to understand those three things: that healing is not linear, that healing is more than just goddess baths and yoga. Those things are wonderful, but healing is ugly late in the midnight hour, crying your eyes out, trying to figure out what is going on and trying to hold on to your sanity and let go of it at the same time so spirit can take over. Healing is facing your fears head on, looking them dead in the eye and saying, I'm going to go even though I'm afraid. Okay? So that's what healing looks like. And the third and probably most important portion of this is that healing requires your active participation. It requires you to do something. It requires you to be fearless, to be obedient, to be willing. Be is an action word, it's a verb. So that's what I've learned so far. When I get some new, fresh perspectives on healing, I will definitely be sure to share them with you. Thank you so much, Star Lady, on Instagram. Please follow her. I will post her information in the description of this video as well. And I look forward to speaking with you all next time. Until then, Tokoza.